Hi, welcome to the Fancy Farm. What I'm doing today is I'm building what I call my mini cooper. I'm building a mini hoop coop for the chickens. We're going to move the chickens, just a small hoop coop with nesting boxes and roosts for the chickens, something easier to move around in, and we're actually going to use a larger hoop coop that we have built for another purpose. So I want to show you how I build it. So this hoop coop, I'm just going to use 2 hog panels, which are mine measure out to 50 1/4 inches long. So it's going to be 100 1/2 inches lengthwise, and then I'm going to do 8 foot wide. And so, yeah, I'm going to build it all out of 1x4 lumber and hoop coops, and you're going to see how I do it. I'm going to kind of walk you through it. So here we go. So I have pre-cut both my 100 1/2 inch boards. So I got 2 100 1/2, and these will be my sides that I'm putting the hoops on. Then I got 3 8-foot boards cut. We're going to use 2 to start, and I'll show you where the third one goes. Now, you could, if you know, a wise person always takes advice or lets somebody else be the fool. I've been the fool before. So if I can suggest anything, when you're dealing with 1x lumber, pre-drill everything. If you're going to put a screw in it, it will split. So I've pre-drilled a couple holes in the ends of these. When I place them on, I'll pre-drill into the end grain on the 100 1/2 inch boards. But yeah, learn from my mistakes. So there's our 2 8-foot boards. We kind of set them like that. And I am so prepared that I do not have my drills with me. So I'm going to go grab my tools and be right back. So just enjoy the scenery for a second. Here's a couple power drills and a cordless skill saw, because I got the skills. And then a little tub of recycled screws. We like to recycle here on the Fancy Farm. And I got recycled screws here that I'm going to reuse. And the power drills and a drill set up with a 1/16 of an inch pre-drill. So, and then you'll need a tape measure, and a little speed square is a good idea too. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is build your perimeter. Now, because you're using 8-foot boards and 100 1/2 inch boards, I have them separated so it's easy not to confuse them, but you want to be careful you don't confuse them and stick, you know, a 100 1/2 inch board here and an 8-foot here, then you start getting really out of square. So label them would be a good idea. Marley, go. Go, boy.
Marley, come here.
So I have these ends pre-drilled. So all you do is just place the boards corner to corner, hold them with your fingers till they're flush. I have the guide holes pre-drilled, so I'm just going to use that as a guide into that end grain. You hold it nice and flush. This is your final lockdown, so you want to make sure it's nice and flush and felt good. Two screws about 2 1/2 inches to 3 inches long is sufficient to secure the corners. So I'm going to repeat this process 4 times, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so there is your perimeter. Now what you want to do is take your tape measure and double check that all your exterior dimensions are the same, and I'll show you why. So I hook on there. I have 96 inches exactly. Somebody was pretty good at cutting. That works out to be 102 inches with the thickness of the 2 end boards added. And that is 102 inches. So now what you want to do is I have these little corner braces I cut. And they have 45-degree bevels on the end. And they're going to go in this corner like this and reinforce the corner of the frame and keep it square. But before I screw these in and lock everything in, we want to make sure that this is square first. And so, actually I'm making a mistake. I need to put my hoops in first and then these, because these will interfere with putting the hoops in. So I almost made a mistake. Some of you guys were already laughing. So that's our next task, is we'll put the hoops in. I'll show you how I do that. So what I have here is a 16-foot cattle panel. These have been used for several different purposes on this farm already, and we're repurposing them for this. The reason I like to use cattle panels is, one, they have quite a bit of strength. Two, they're recyclable. Everything we're going to build here is recyclable. So if I build something, I want to be able to, if I change my mind, don't like the design as I learn later, I want to be able to reuse that material. If I'm doing something like out of PVC pipe and stuff like that, it's going to take that heavy bend form to it, and you'll never get that back out. Where a cattle panel will have some memory, but you can lay them down, step on them, and stretch them back out. You can work it back into a nice flat panel again. And so that's why I like to use reusable stuff, and it has quite a bit of strength. It functions well, so that's what we'll do. So these are 16 foot long by 15¼ inches wide. I'm sure it differs by the manufacturer, so you'd want to measure your own and find out. So yeah, I just grab it, I start with one end, and I just stick it in here. Just let it dig into the dirt a little bit. And I stick this end in here. You know, and that's the reason I go with 8 foot. Kind of creates a decent height in here for standing under, and I'll raise these just a little bit on the board. So it's a decent height to get in, and that's part of the reason why I prefer this design over the standard Salatin type design, is it costs me almost exactly the same right now to build one of these, maybe even a little bit less to build a hoop coop. And the functionality is better. The weight is not an issue with the Salatin hoop coop, none of that is, or the Salatin chicken tractor. But when I go to process a chicken, getting in there and getting the chickens out becomes a process. And I know some people, cut a piece of plywood and use it to kind of shoo the chickens all into one corner, and then you can grab them efficiently out the door. And that's a good idea, but it's one more thing to buy and build. And with the price of plywood, I can think of a lot better purposes for plywood right now. Something like this, I'll be able to open the door, step in, grab my chickens, and leave. Or, in the case of this being a hen house, it'll be easy to collect eggs. I'll have nesting boxes up the side, roost through the center. It'll be a lot easier to collect. So that's why I prefer this design. So, yeah, we just shove these in there. Now this panel has some fencing attached to the outside, some field fencing, some 4" by 2". And it was attached for another purpose, for extending another addition onto the duck pen and maybe a hen pen. But so Drea did a real nice job attaching this, but we changed our mind. We're not going to use it for that. We're going to use it in this hoop coop. It needs a pet caterpillar. So that fits in nice. So now what we'll do is we'll check it for square. And to do that, we take a corner-to-corner measurement. So we've confirmed that all the exterior perimeter is the exact same length. Now we'll check corner to corner. There's another way you can do it. If my measurement from this corner to that corner and that corner to this corner is the exact same length on both sides, I know that this is square. If the frame is kicked a little bit like a trapezoid or trapezoid, those measurements will not be the same. Another way you can do this is there's two other ways you can use Pythagoras theorem, which is 3, 4, 5, which you would measure 3 foot this way, make a mark, 4 foot that way, make a mark, and then from that point to this point, if that equals 5 feet, you know it's square. But the accuracy of that is limited to your materials, and this is just 1x4s, and they can have a bow or they can have crown. And so if you're measuring in that bow, it won't give you an accurate measurement. So the most accurate way to do is measure from corner to corner. Now I'll take my little corner blocks, and they will be set in here just like that. And that will brace this corner in and help hold all the corners together. So I'll pre-drill them and screw them. Repeat that process 4 times. Now I would do this corner and then an opposing corner to kind of lock everything in square. You could also use something as a brace to hold this frame square while you do it if you feel like you're going to move around. But I feel like I'm that good. I can do this. So. So I hold this brace in the corner like that. I'm going to pre-drill at an angle so it goes directly into the wood. Okay. And I'll drive a screw in. So I'll start my screw in the hole like that. I'll hold the brace up flush. Hammer it home. Now I'll do one on the opposing side to hold it, then I'll put in the remaining 2. If you have this in the corner, you know, you can imagine this being your corner and then having your 2 exterior boards meet up like that. And you're trying to drill through here and get it into this wood. Sometimes if you get a little bit off, the screw will start poking out and you lose all your strength. So an alternate option is to take a drill a hole through here and screw at an angle through here. And that actually works pretty well too. You can reinforce a corner that way. So now, chickens don't know Pythagoras theorem. And so I think you'll be okay if it is slightly out of square. Getting it close to square is going to help you when you're framing up the door and the ends. It kind of helps you pull everything together. And so you'll know and you'll appreciate if it's a lot closer to square. But if you get a little bit off from square, it's not a big deal. It's just every other man is going to judge you on your workmanship. Alright, so that is that. Now what I'm going to use to hold all these edges is a little piece of plumber's tape. And it's not my original idea. I actually learned it from Homestead Living Traditions, actually. Sorry. And if you haven't checked them out, they're really interesting. I mean, those folks, they've been doing this a few years and they figured out a thing or two. But yeah, he uses a plumber's tape, and I thought that was such a great idea. So that's one thing I've learned to use on these. So I will go grab my plumber's tape and I will return.